You know that special feeling. It's not the moment you become rich, nor the moment everything falls into place, nor even the moment you finally say, I did it. It's a much quieter, much more personal moment. When you open your banking app, instead of that familiar sense of unease spreading through your chest, a feeling resembling dangerous calm washes over you. It's as if the background noise your brain has been generating for years has been turned down a few notches. Most people spend their entire adult lives chasing this feeling, believing it's tied to $1 million balance, a six-figure salary, or their everything is figured out future selves. Financial experts steer you toward $1 million. Investment content presents you with six-figure numbers. But after years of studying financial psychology and observing how real people with real anxieties, not just theoretical numbers, transition from financial paralysis to freedom, I realized this. The transformation does not happen where you're told it will. The number that fundamentally reprograms the way you process every financial decision for the rest of your life is not $1 million. It doesn't even come close to $1 million. That number is $20,000. And I know exactly what your brain just did. It rejected it. $20,000 isn't life-changing money, it said. This reaction is the real reason why the vast majority of people never build true wealth. Because they're looking for that dramatic figure, that life-changing windfall, that moment that feels significant enough to match the weight of the problem. And in doing so, they completely miss the truly critical threshold. My name is Stefan, and I spend an embarrassing amount of time on the chasm between what people mentally believe about money and how they actually behave. If you want more than this kind of mindset, subscribe right now and write in the comments where you're starting today, because I read every single one. When you close your eyes and imagine what building wealth is like, what actually comes to mind? Maybe an heir who's never experienced financial anxiety, or perhaps someone who's worked for 20 years watching a number grow slowly. Here's the truth that almost no one in the financial content world will say out loud. Wealth isn't built the way people imagine it. It doesn't follow a straight line. Constant effort isn't always rewarded with constant progress. Instead, there are certain thresholds, invisible lines in the sand, where the rules of the game completely change. $20,000 marks the beginning of these lines. I keep coming back to this analogy because nothing else captures it quite as well. Imagine pushing a massive boulder up a steep hill. You're using every ounce of your strength, your legs are burning, you feel like you're barely making any progress, and at times you can't tell if the boulder is actually moving or if you're just convincing yourself it's staying put. Saving your first $20,000 feels exactly like that. The statistics are brutal. The vast majority of people who embark on this journey give up within the first 4 to 6 months. But the boulder has a secret it doesn't tell anyone. Once you push it past the summit, the laws of physics completely change. Gravity is no longer your enemy. It becomes your ally. $20,000 is that summit. Now we're getting to the part you really need to understand. The transformation that occurs at the $20,000 mark is primarily neurological, not mathematical. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, your brain operates in a scarcity mindset. Your prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for higher level functions like long-term planning, evaluating opportunities, and creative problem solving, is partially shut down. The amygdala, the brain's ancient threat detection system, takes over. Every decision is filtered through a single question. What minimizes my immediate risk right now? This isn't a character flaw. It isn't laziness, it's the brain doing exactly what it's supposed to do when resources are truly scarce, prioritizing survival over growth. The problem is that in the modern financial world, survival mode doesn't save you. It traps you. Vanguard's research revealed something that even surprised the researchers. Having just $2,000 in emergency savings, not $20,000, but just $2,000, increases measurable financial well-being by 21%. That's less than what many people spend on a new phone. Yet this small buffer begins to shift the brain from a purely reactive survival mode towards something akin to foresight. When you build that emergency fund up to 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses, which for most people amounts to around $20,000, an additional 13% is added on top. More importantly, your brain finally starts asking a different question. Instead of how do I make it to next Friday, it starts asking, how do I grow this money? This single cognitive shift is the real mechanism behind why some people build wealth while others remain permanently on the brink of the next financial emergency. Now, for the math, because the math here is truly astonishing in the best sense. Let's say you save $1,000 a month and earn an 8% annual return. It takes about 19 months to reach the first 20,000. That's a year and a half of real discipline. Most people give up at this point, not because they can't do it, but because the feedback loop feels broken. The effort seems enormous and progress seems invisible. This is where the math comes into play. Your second $20,000 takes 17 months, not 19. The third takes even less time. Now, in addition to your contributions, your money is working for you. Compound interest is generating returns, taking on part of the burden you use to carry entirely on your own. Once your portfolio reaches $400,000, you can generate the next $20,000 in just 5 months without saving a single extra dollar using only investment returns. That milestone that used to take a year and a half now happens automatically in the background while you sleep. The financial industry oddly avoids saying this out loud. You don't need special access to anything. Someone with $100 and someone with $20,000 can buy exactly the same index funds through exactly the same brokerage firm. The only variable is scale. A 10% return on $2,000 yields $200. Nice, but abstract. A 10% return on $20,000 yields $2,000. Same strategy, same risk, same time frame. Just a different starting point. I want to slow down completely here because what I'm about to say is more important than anything else in this video so far. When you save $20,000 starting from scratch without a safety net, without a windfall, without an exceptional income, you've accomplished something far beyond simply saving a sum of money. You're changing the category you belong to. Think about what it actually took to reach that number. You had to track every dollar consistently, month after month. You had to say no. Not just once, not just when it was easy, but even when it wasn't. When your friends were going out and you stayed home, even when the sale was really good, but you walked away. You had to sit with the discomfort of delayed gratification for a period of time so long that the goal almost started to feel theoretical. You did all of this without any guarantee that it would pay off. This means you're no longer someone who hopes to eventually get their financial life in order. You've already proven what you're capable of. This shift in identity leads to measurable results in every financial decision you make from now on. Before you hit $20,000, buying a $4 coffee required a quick mental calculation to see if you could afford it. After hitting $20,000, you stop worrying about coffee entirely. Not because you've stopped being careful, but because you've internalized that small daily decisions aren't where your financial life is won or lost. You're now free to focus on the decisions that truly shape your trajectory. Your career is transforming too, and this isn't discussed enough. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, every professional interaction is tinged with a sense of helplessness that's nearly impossible to hide. You can't ask for a raise with genuine conviction when you're truly afraid of the consequences. $20,000 gives you what I call exit money. Knowing you could leave tomorrow transforms how you carry yourself in every conversation where you can't. You become more assertive, more willing to take ownership of challenging projects, more confident in the moments that shape your career. And here's the strange alchemy. You often don't even need to use it. Simply having it is enough to shift your presence, enough to prompt different reactions from those around you. Better assignments, more recognition, higher pay. Financial security fuels the professional confidence that generates even more income. The cycle feeds itself and accelerates. And I'll say this completely bluntly because I've seen people veer off track when they're truly nearing a turning point. The most dangerous moment on this journey isn't the first few months when progress feels invisible, nor is it the middle stretch where you're tired of saying no. The single most dangerous moment is the day you actually reach $20,000. Because on that day, your brain spins a very specific and very seductive story. You were disciplined, you made sacrifices, you proved yourself, and this money is your reward. So you buy the car, or you go on that vacation you've been putting off, or you use it as a down payment on a house you can't afford. That way, you're resetting yourself to zero. Don't do that. The $20,000 isn't the prize at the end of the race, it's the first brick in the foundation. If you spend it, you're not just losing the money, you're losing the compound interest, the momentum, and the psychological identity you've built up through saving. The threshold only works if you treat it as a starting point. And let's wrap up with the thought that's come back to me more than almost anything else. The average person spends between $300,000 and $400,000 on cars over the course of their driving years, on payments, insurance, maintenance, and depreciation for assets that lose 20% of their value the moment they leave the dealership. And that same person tells you they can't invest. The car isn't the important thing here. The car is a symbol of how most financial decisions are made. Decisions are made based on your current emotions, not on how much something will actually cost over time. When you cross the $20,000 threshold, you stop making decisions based on your current emotions. You start calculating the cost over 20 years. And this single cognitive shift, more than any investment, income level, or financial strategy, determines where you will actually end up. $20,000 won't make you rich overnight, but it will permanently change your perspective on money, opportunity, risk, and what is truly possible for you. That's the line between reacting to your financial life and consciously designing it. Start building that foundation today, because the you that will exist 5 years from now will be shaped almost entirely by the decisions you make in the next 30 days. And I promise you, your future self is watching very closely what you choose right now.